grew tired, I grew impatient, and I just almost said I give up. And in this video, I am going to talk about something that I have come to know all too well, and that is caregiver fatigue or compassion fatigue or burnout. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yorros and I am a nurse and I make videos to help others who might be going through difficult things as well. So my husband is a dialysis patient and he almost lost his life to COVID and now is dealing with disability and different illnesses. I am also a person of faith, so I just talk about how faith has helped me through my process, but also I want to share with you practical tips and tricks to help you if you're going through a similar situation, caring for a sick loved one, dealing with a chronic illness, or other difficulties that you might be facing in your life. So in a nutshell, that is what my channel is all about. It has just been busy around here for the last couple of weeks and I felt like I just hit a wall. I was exhausted. I reached a level of exhaustion that wasn't just like I'm tired and I need to sleep for a little bit. It was more like I am burnt out. So a little bit of my background. I always tell my story. I'm gonna link it down below. I'm not gonna get super deep into it because like I said, I talk about it in every video, and I'm gonna link it down below. We do have a podcast where we talk a lot about our story. In a specific episode, we go quite into it. So I'll link that down below if you're really curious. It all boils down to the fact that my husband has a lot of health struggles as a result of COVID. And it's led us to have a very unique life, you know, that we did not expect to be living this way in this season of life. We were only married for a year and a half before my husband suddenly got really sick, and I ended up having to quit my job for 7 months to care for him. So as you can imagine, it's been a long battle. It's been over a year since my husband ended up in the hospital, and now of course he's home, but the struggles haven't ended. And I think there's a lot of people that might assume that when your loved one comes home from the hospital, or when you have a small victory, and maybe you're someone who is caring for a sick child, or you're caring for ill parent, or a loved one that has Alzheimer's, just all kinds of things. And when you're caring for that loved one and you're giving it your all and you are giving that person 100%, you can burn out. This is something I faced both in my career as a nurse, and then something that of course I have faced personally. So I've been on just two sides of this, issue. And so I want to talk about how to deal with it, what it is, and also make you feel heard and seen. Like, this is not something that only selfish people struggle with. No, like, you may be a compassionate, loving, kind person and still face caregiver fatigue or burnout. And so I want to read to you exactly what caregiver fatigue or caregiver burnout is. And it's a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. You guys, it is all three, and it may be accompanied by a change in attitude from positive and caring to all of a sudden negative and unconcerned. And this is something that I want to talk about today because it's so vital that you recognize when you are burning out, so that you don't end up in a place so bad that you won't be able to get back from that place. Now, if you have faced a tragedy or an illness in your own life and now you're caring for this loved one, and again, this can just go with so many different type of situations, you might find that when you are first tasked with taking care of this person or this loved one, you are just hung-go and all excited, and I mean, not excited, but you are ready to take on the challenge. And when I first became a nurse, I was that person. I was so excited to become a nurse. In fact, I was a nurse tech for a year and a half or something like that while I was in nursing school. So I was kind of like a nurse assistant or a CNA or PCT, whatever. This type of work is so fulfilling. Like, you are with people when they're at their worst. You are with people when they're passing away. You're there when children are born. I mean, whatever kind of field of nursing you go into, you get to be with people in some really major moments in their life, and it is so fulfilling. But once I became a nurse and the years went by, I really started to burn out, and the pandemic was a huge part of that. I just saw people pass away alone, and I had to be that person in that room who was there with a patient who's passing away from COVID, and their family members don't want to be there. And it was really difficult emotionally, and it all started to come home with me, and it had to come to a point where I had to separate myself from those emotions and just kind of, not let myself feel too much towards the people that were under my care, because it was gonna burden my own heart, and it was really hard. Then, you know, we're in the pandemic, and then my husband gets sick. So as you can imagine, it was, you know, difficulty on top of difficulty, and now my husband is sick, and I have to care for him. I quit my job to take care of him, which again, I was ready to do it. I was ready to do anything for him. I almost lost him, and now I get to take care of him and have him home, and that meant so much to me. But then I hit a burnout there as well. Not because I don't love my husband, and not because I don't care, which is a big component of this video. If you feel this way, where you are just exhausted, it has nothing to do with how you feel about your loved one or that person. It has nothing to do with that, because I would do anything for my husband, but I was so tired. It's normal. But the thing is that we get tired. We are human beings. I had a pastor tell me, you are not Wonder Woman. And the thing is, when you go through something like this, you really do start to think, I can do anything. There's actually different types of compassion fatigue, but there's stages, and I want to cover these stages because I have been through every single one. When I read this, I was like, "Ooh, you're preaching to the choir right now." So the first one is the Zealot, whatever, or Idealistic phase. So this is a phase where you're going to be like, I can do this. I have the strength, I have the time, I have all the resources, like I can do this, and no one's gonna take care of my loved one as good as I can. And I am sure if you've been in the same place where you're taking care of a loved one and you're willing to take on that challenge, odds are you love your parent, you love your spouse, you love your child, and you've been in that place where you're like, listen, I got this. I am going to be their nurse. I am going to, because no one's going to take care of your loved one like you do. That's just the reality. But it's so interesting because the second phase is withdrawal phase. So that is probably very self-explanatory. And then the third phase is the irritability phase. So you go from kind of withdrawing from your loved one to like, whoa, this is a lot more than I expected. I see this a lot with family members who take on the care of a loved one who has Alzheimer's. They sometimes underestimate all the care that that's going to entail, and they bring that loved one to maybe live in their home and realize that they actually require around-the-clock care, and they might require professional help, which is very difficult to bring into your home or such a personal situation. But you get to this point where you start kind of backing up and going, I don't think I can do this. And then you get into an irritability phase, which is when your loved one starts asking you for, can you give me a cup of water? Can you help me with this? You start going, get it yourself. Or you start lashing out, or you start being mean. I, in full disclosure, have no problem saying that I've been in that place where I get angry, and I'm not angry at my loved one. I am angry at the situation. I am angry at the fact that, you know, they have to suffer. I get tired of seeing that loved one suffer. I saw this a lot as a nurse as well, where caregivers would begin to lash out at that patient with Alzheimer's and kind of be like, you know, roll their eyes or sigh, or take a deep breath and go, losing patience. Again, normal. This is not to shame or guilt anyone. It is normal to grow tired of taking care of someone. Like I said, I faced that myself. I started kind of lashing out at family members, or started lashing out at, you know, people. And again, like I withdrew from everything. Like I got really tired, and then I just would lash out because I was moody, and it all just came down to exhaustion. And then the last phase, which I think is really interesting, is the zombie phase. Again, that is super self-explanatory, but it's when you enter into a phase where you just lose compassion. You lose that. And that's a stage that's really hard to come back from. And that's a stage that I feel like, again, you know, I'm not some sort of expert or psychologist or anything like that. This is purely my own opinion and my own experience, but definitely enter into a stage where depression really wanted to grip my heart. I grew tired, I grew impatient, and I just almost said I give up. And I would hate for anybody to get to that place, which is why I make the content that I do. I just don't want people to get to the place where they give up, because once you give up, it's really hard to come back from that, but you absolutely can. And I am so grateful for my faith. I am so grateful for family. I am so grateful for people that have spoken life into me. Literally at the nick of time when I am just ready to just drop the towel and give up. I am so grateful for people that tell me you need to get up. You can't stay there, you know? And I am so grateful for those people, because there's times when you really feel dead, you know? And, you know, I'm talking figuratively, like you kind of do. You feel like done, and you need that jolt. You need that person that prays for you or gives you that word of encouragement, because it's really hard to get up from that place. And so I want to make this video and just kind of encourage you. Now, I don't want to just tell you about it. I want to give you solutions, and I want to give you practical tips and even share some of the things that have helped me. I haven't done, you know, being a caregiver for a sick spouse, I haven't done it perfectly. Not even close. One of the best things that you can do is say, I need a self-care day, or I need a few hours to myself, or I need to go on a walk, or I need a break. And you're probably saying, you know, well, that's not always possible. Listen, all things are possible. So one of the things that I have done is ask family members to help out. Like, I'm just gonna be like, I love to be really transparent. So when my husband first came home from the hospital, I didn't want to ask anyone for help. I just felt guilty doing so, because for months so many people have been going out of their way to help me. Like my church family, like the men from my church came and like cleaned out my garage. Someone, you know, donated time from their company to paint the walls of our house, which wasn't done yet. We had barely, I mean, we've been living at our house for like a year and a half at that point, so we were even done, you know, painting the walls, and that was something that I really wanted, and they did it for, I mean, so many people just went out of their way to help us, that to ask for more help, I just couldn't fathom it. I felt bad. And again, that is so silly. Like, if that's you, cut it out. Do not feel bad for asking for help. You know, you're going through something difficult, and it's totally fine to ask for help, especially, you know, family members and friends and church family. Like, it's totally fine to ask for help and be like, listen, I need help. So another tip that I want to give you is, do not be afraid to talk to your loved one. I know, thankfully this is not something that I've really had to do with Daniel. Like, if anything, he's the one who's like, Carla, you need to go and eat, or you need to go and take care of yourself, or you need to go and take an afternoon, you know, someone else can sit with me. Like, my husband is the one who pushes me to take care of myself. Find a faith community. I personally go to an Assemblies of God church, and I have found that it does wonders for me to pray, to read the Bible, to seek the presence of God. It is not just a part of my life, it is literally my life. Faith is a huge thing, and it's really helpful. It helps me to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to have God to trust in. So if that's something that you don't go to church, or you don't pray or anything like that, I just really want to encourage you, just maybe close your eyes one day and be like, God, just answer me, you know, just talk to me, just comfort me, just help me. Make a simple prayer. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate or crazy. God knows what you're going through. So I really want to encourage you, like, do it, you know, pray, or, you know, open the Bible, read a few verses, and I guarantee you, you're going to feel a shift. You're going to feel better. So I'm gonna encourage you with that today. Well, guys, this video was kind of lengthy. Let me see if I can cut it down so it's not super lengthy, but I hope that these tips help. I hope that it encourages you in some way. And if it does, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I make a whole bunch more content like this, and I continue to share our story. So go ahead and leave me a comment down below telling me that you subscribed, or telling me what are some of, you know, your stories with caregiver fatigue, or what are some of your experiences. I would love to hear about them. So leave me a comment down below, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.